We're going to be talking about Love Island today. I've spoken about Love Island actually on the show before. I did like a video, kind of like semi essay thing, but it was pretty much just a rant actually. And I think I said Love Island, we need to talk, and I forget even like what season it was, but I feel like it still ties into um what we're discussing today. This is like a deep diversion into Love Island. Um, and yeah, just like Love Island. I think the title of the episode today is Love Island, and it's blatant racism. It was like absolutely outright. But of course, in specific, the UK one. Definitely why. Like, I feel like I stopped watching it. I don't know. Like, I wanted to obviously make quickly, even before I dive into like the racism part. I do want to obviously touch on like, I guess, like other shows aside from Love Island, because we know that these dating shows, like, they are interesting. It's not to say they're not. Like, let's think of something like Celebs Go Dating, Married at First Sight, all those other ones. Like, they are interesting because I feel like, of course, they're great behavioral analysis. That's usually what you when you ask people, yeah, why are you tuning into Love Island? And sometimes they'll tell you, yeah, I'm watching it to look at people's relationships, realize how they work. And then also, I think what the other element is of these dating shows is the fact that you are cooped up with with a group for an amount of time, and I do think it says something about that, like almost like a guinea pig experiment. It does kind of highlight on stuff like that, like if everyone was in a room like together or confined, what would what would the outcome be? And I think obviously that's what these shows also try to highlight. Of course, not like, of course, I mentioned Celebs Go Dating and Married at First Sight. Not them so much, because Celebs Go Dating is a whole different type of concept. But maybe Married at First Sight ties into um that argument for sure, because of course Married at First Sight is literally marrying someone like that you don't even know, and literally, yeah, you don't know anything about them. And it's kind of like you can't also, I don't know. Yeah, you also can't run away from it too. But let's even, we will touch on that Married at First Sight actually, because why not? We are talking about shows as a whole today, like as a concept. I mean, of course we won't shy away from our main focus, but I feel like we still have to discuss these things, because like I feel like reality TV shows have, like, I mean, yeah, they have lost their way anyways. And I will say, like, I don't know if because when I was thinking about this episode, I was like, oh yeah, I'm not watching this season of Love Island UK, right? Because obviously it just started the other day. I'm not, and it's like I don't want to view it from like, oh, like kind of like a superiority like outlook, because it's not that. Like, I feel like I myself, I also have I've watched Love Island obviously in the past. I also sometimes watch other dating programs. I mean, of course, like I've spoken about like well, on here I've spoken about like Singles Inferno, and then of course aside from ones that I have spoken about on here, there's also like 70 Out on the Beach that I was currently watching as well. Like, that had a new season recently too, and also Too Hot to Handle, and also Singles Inferno, right? Because I spoke about Singles Inferno on here, right? But I do think that those shows, anyways, there's something about those shows versus Love Island, anyways, and that goes obviously back to the blatant racism, okay? Because if you think about, in contrast to Love Island USA, you know that Love Island USA doesn't have, the racism issue, and it's not even like there. Do you know what I mean? It's not even there, and like I feel like I always think about I guess, was it Love Island, like France? I remember because there was Edgar and I think Cindy. I think I remember, yeah, I remember Edgar and Cindy. And I didn't even watch that season, but of course I've seen them on TikTok. Do you know what I mean? But the whole fact of the matter is that, do you get what I mean? It's just you wouldn't see that happening in the UK version at all, and you really wouldn't see, like, I guess a white man, like, I feel like, I guess, falling on his, I wouldn't say falling on his knees, but like yearning for the person that he's interested in. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of the time in Love Island UK, there's just obviously a blatant disrespect for it, and they always treat the black women on the show like they are, the last, right, the last thing on the plate. Like, if they are to choose between a black woman and a white one, they're obviously going to choose the black. And the fact of the matter is, because everyone will always have this conversation, right? When we speak about this, anyways, and I say we, I meant as like a minority. So when black people discuss this conversation, people like to always come up with the defense of being like, oh well, we can't be upset for who people who are interested in, but that's not what we're saying. The fact of the matter is it comes down to the Love Island makers as a concept and as a show, and the producers and the people who make it, because they are the ones controlling it, you know what I mean? So pulling the strings. They are the one, the kind of, I guess, ventriloquist. So in a way, do you know what I mean? They've got the hand the back, so we're like, they know what they're doing, do you know what I mean? So we can't even, I feel like that's the thing, we can't use that excuse to um diminish the fact that black women go on the show and they always seem to just have a huge magnifying glass on them, versus their white counterparts. You know what I mean? There's more of, um as I said, a magnifying glass, and there's more of a focus. Everything they do obviously is wrong, and they also can't be outspoken. They're also, what's the word, they're also just very much like, people focus on their appearance a lot, and then, like I said, like, as I said even before, yeah, they get chosen last, and then also when they get chosen anyway, like, they're still like disrespected with that person. So for me, like, even though I have been watching Love Island for a while, or I feel like I probably stopped watching Love Island like the year before, I believe. I believe I stopped watching Love Island like, yeah, the year before, because obviously I don't know why, but I think I just lost interest. Like, and of course, how I was telling you guys about um the fact that the racism with Love Island has been, oh yeah, it's a pattern. I mean, because it happens every year, and as I said, it's not also like by accident as well. I mean, it's not to say that, because the fact of the matter is, I also feel like, as I said about the fact that it's on purpose and it's not accidental, they'll also obviously do this thing, of course, when um I guess they want to bring in black males to, I guess, level the playing field, um and everything like that. But that doesn't even solve the issue at the end of the day. I just think that there's something so, as I said, there's something so, like, intricate about the way that they go about it, and the way that the show has this narrative anyways. And then it will be like, I don't know, it will be like, of course, right, they'll match up a black woman and black man together, and then of course the black man, you'll see that, right, even he disrespects her, do you know what I mean? So it's not even like, oh my gosh, like, oh yeah, she finds someone and it's the same person who's the same color as her, and the problem is gone. Like, it's still just about the way that black women are treated at the end of the day. Actually, I think I was watching um Small Talk by Ore, and obviously that's his podcast, and he obviously talks about a lot of like pop culture related stuff. And obviously his video was actually really old. I only came across it like the other day. You know how YouTube works anyways. They always put out things like really slow, or things get to you like really late. So I know he was in his video talking mainly, I think, about like a specific season at the time, but in all he was obviously discussing like most of the women who have been on there previously anyways. I remember he listed like Yawande and Billy Kiss and um oh, what was her name, Alima, and also Whitney. as well, and of course there's so many others, right? But he obviously spoke about in detail about them. And for me, I guess the one major thing was, I remember when he showed a scene from the show when Dejon was coupled up with Billy Kiss. Yeah, he was coupled up with Billy Kiss, and they were having a conversation. And like, obviously at first when she came there, he was like so happy for her to be there. And then afterwards, there was this sudden shift where the next time you saw him speaking to her, he obviously spoke to her like with so much, like, yeah, so much like disrespect, like not even just exactly how you would just speak to someone. And literally, I think we always think about this when you watch the show, and it's like, is that how you would speak to your mother? Because obviously it's not. So it's very much telling, and it really does talk about um I think there's this thing, like, maybe I want to say whitewashing, but also because there's this thing where we realize that society kind of brainwashes black men into hating black women. Do you know what I mean? They do that too, and I think also that's what ties into what people are talking about with Ope, I believe. So Ope of this new season that just started, and obviously the focus is that, he immediately said right away that he wants a blonde girl with blue eyes or whatever, something like that. But then obviously it's like, I don't know. It obviously, I don't think it's a bad thing, of course, because this is the thing. I think even Ori said something like this too. Like, it's not a bad thing to want to date outside your race. Of course it's not. No one's saying that um you have to date out inside your race. You know what I mean? Like, how I was mentioning to you guys about like Edgar and Cindy, and then probably even Nico and Nick and Alandria, right? So there's those two, right? But then I feel like they're the only, if you think about it, exactly, in terms of Love Island history, they are the only two uh standout ones, right? Edgar and Cindy are no longer together. Like, my heart breaks. But obviously Nick and Alandria are great. But as we said, they are the only two like blueprint for like it working out. I feel like this is the thing, like most Love Island couples, they don't even work. Do you know what I mean? Like, a lot of the time their foundation will be so strong in the show, and then they'll come out and the foundation like will be gone. Or maybe I guess maybe you could also talk about like Dami and India, and then obviously they were together for a while, but of course then they just had their whole little thing where they broke up too. So it still goes to say that, like, do you know what I mean? There's something in the waters, and these relationships they don't pan out, and they don't like last any time. And the question is generally, excuse me, is generally why. Like, is it, this is the thing. I think to myself, yes, is it just a growing thing how relationships work, or is there more at play? Do you know what I mean? And also, like, what Love Island does as a show. And if you think about, so I mentioned to you guys Married at First Sight, if you think about the scandal that has come out regarding Married at First Sight, you do have to probably kind of analyze it and think, what is going on in all of these reality TV programs, if we're honest. Like, obviously there is some kind of, that's what I'm saying, there is some kind of like leak. It's not to say like we don't know, of course, that there is one, but it's just like sometimes obviously you'll hear yeah, little like peeps, I mean, as to like what happens in these shows, and like, I guess, right, how they're treated, and originally, like how I said, how everything is somewhat like intentional. Because even, I guess, even Ori actually was talking about like the promotion pictures as well, like the fact that um they'll take these pictures of the black women, and they'll just obviously from there already, I feel like they'll take those pictures and they'll put them like if it's obviously on the Love Island like posters or whatever, and then already they're already setting those women up like for failure. And it's so true. And then also um I feel like there should just be like more done like for them, or I mean even like I guess people on hand and on set. So in the thing of like, oh, when a lot of the time the conversation comes around of like, oh, like her lace is not on properly, like blah blah blah, like all of that, like we're like, okay, so obviously someone here should be kind of being on top of that. Do you know what I mean? And you'd think that would be the case, seeing as although Love Island's a show that it's like, do you know what I mean? You think to yourself, Love Island's such a show that it makes it seem like to you everything's real, this, that, and the third. Like, okay, you'll see the contestants getting dressed up, but it's like, bro, they've obviously had a little prep done, like from the PD team too. Like, don't play with me. They've had a little touch up as well, because they're not just gonna throw them on there like without like any touch up. So this is the thing. So we're like, obviously, why have you done that? And also in that manner, like what is the reason? And I guess like Ore's example, like when I spoke about the scene with Dejan and Billy Kiss, was the main thing was that Dejan got annoyed at Billy Kiss, like he bit her head off, but he made it seem like she was biting his head off. Like they were having a conversation, and it was like Billy Kiss was speaking to him. Generally, like I'm like, oh, probably like how I'm talking to you guys. I'm like, really, honestly, the tone was literally like there was no obviously sense in it being like raised or aggressive or coming off in any shape or form in that way, right? But then Dejan was like, oh, I'm not going to, oh, he's like, oh, I'm not going to beg to speak or whatever, or I'm not going to try and like force myself to speak. And we're like, oh, okay. Like, and then obviously he just walks away. Do you know what I mean? Completely just dismisses her. And then, oh my gosh, there was also how Ori touched on, I guess like the one day Arabella and I guess I don't even know what the other guy's name was, but he was talking about that whole triangle at the time. Like obviously when that season was on, and how um yeah, how your one day obviously was just distracted that whole time. And then I remember Ori was even saying that like I guess your one day was like obviously like really pretty. I mean, I think he said she was like probably the best black contestant he's seen on there. But then again, that video is old, like I said. So I meant that video is old. So it's like I don't think he's saying that like in all, because I just mean the whole fact of the matter is that all of the black contestants who go into Love Island are pretty, and that's a standalone fact. Like it's not even we said it's not made up. It's just like, oh, they go in there and it's like they don't really get seen for that. Also, if you think about I guess there's that girl in specific who was with that guy Will, and she's still with Will now, even though when he was in the show, he'd obviously like, right, he literally had told her, so it's like to her face, that oh, that she wasn't his type and everything like that. And I felt like the way he treated her in the show was, like it was so crazy. And I mean, how could you really, in a way, I don't know, like how could you really, I guess, go back to someone like that? I meant in a way, but I meant, yeah, I mean what I said. Because, but then the fact of the matter is, I also think that reality TV has a problem, because we will say these things as well, being like, oh well, like why did she go back? But it's like we don't witness everything, so it's almost like, oh yeah, we'll see Will kind of like, I guess, disrespect her or dismiss her or whatever, or saying something to someone else or whatever, right? Real maybe well, like tongue in cheek comment, right? And we'll see that because obviously it's glossed up for drama purposes, but in all, like probably behind the scenes, like they're probably having great conversations and all that stuff, but we just don't really see those. And that's the other issue actually, anyways, when it comes to love and as a concept, because and actually, actually, because I was gonna say, oh yeah, like I'm pointing at fingers at Love Island, because um, I mean, like I am and I'm not, but like, because obviously that's the focus of the episode is Love Island, but I mean, like, I do feel like it's a problem probably that reality TV has in general, because I meant like they are so like I mean they are so selective, I mean, and I think they don't really think about how I guess how people will feel, even though I do feel like sometimes people who are on these shows, like they do it to themselves at the same time. So it's a bit like, oh yeah, like the cameras will be rolling, but it's like, do you know what I mean? You said what you said, so I feel like you shouldn't have needed to add fuel to the fire. Like they want to boost out to make it look like that. But like, why did you say that? Because if we even speak about when I spoke about Singles Inferno and specifically yeah, specifically I think it was, remember I was talking about Mina Sue actually, right? And the fact of the matter is that she was upset about how she was portrayed, and that did make you think a bit like, oh yeah, like the producers kind of in a way wanted to make her look bad, but then also she didn't help that either. Do you know what I mean? Like, when I told ourselves the things that you did say, like, did look bad, and then of course they added them in to make you look bad. But the whole fact of the matter is that you probably never should have like said those things in the first place, and then you wouldn't have looked bad. Like, this is the whole thing. I think it is very telling. And I also think, because sometimes I guess people also have the argument of being like, oh, um if, because people are like, oh yeah, if you know what the game is and you know what reality TV is set like why would you go on there? Why would you put yourself through that? And like, I think they always say that anyways when it comes to like, right, when it comes to this discussion and black women going on Love Island, and they say, well, like maybe black women shouldn't go on there, and that like, oh, they already know the score because they would have seen past contestants go on there, and they would have seen it, they would have watched it, they would have been like, oh, like, should I go? And it's like everything like that. But like, honestly, I think maybe at the end of the day, you also have to think about the fame element. There's that, because that's what I'm saying. Like, everyone, I wouldn't say, oh, everyone wants to be famous, but I'm just saying some way, I think it's interesting because we see it time and time again when people will go on Love Island and their numbers will um yeah, their numbers will like double and triple, like with them, I guess, even being in like the first two episodes. You know what I mean? Like, literally the shift is so crazy, like, because some of them of course will generally be nobodies. You know what I mean? Well, not even like nobodies, but like obviously small town people. Like, they might be at least, I maybe at maybe, I guess, 1,000. Because this is the thing, I don't really feel like Love Island is going after for like complete nobodies. Of course they wouldn't. They do like to go for um people who, I guess, like pretty privileged for one thing, and also people who are I guess like influencers somewhat. So that is like their bag. Do you know what I mean? So that is also another element. Feel like as a viewer, anyways. You know what I mean? As far as being a viewer goes, because this is the thing. Like, I don't understand, because even actually I watched a video earlier today that was talking about how Love Island is, like, I guess it's brain rot content. And of course this is the thing, like, I started thinking about it in this way because I was like, right, just because I am not watching the season of Island does not mean does not mean I don't like to watch people engage with each other, like, honestly. And I think how he was saying, he was saying like society like likes to see people do that on the television. It's a bit like, I don't know, maybe he was saying it's a bit of a perversion, maybe, like, what is that about? Do you know what I mean? But I understand his like standpoint, his view, in a way, because it's like, I guess you shouldn't really need to, and that it's a thing where, like, I do feel like Love Island 2, it's obviously, yes, brain rot, but it's also like, um it's the absolute craze. Do you know what I mean? Like, you actually can't help but tune into it. Like, even when I was watching it before, I remember when, yes, I would just keep watching it, and I think it becomes super addictive once you actually get into the flow of it. So even when I stopped watching it, it was actually crazy. So it's like, it's like it's a joke when I say, oh yeah, like I'm 2 years sober. But the fact of the matter is, I am 2 years sober. It's not a joke. It's serious because even when I talk about reality TV on here in general, I'm like the 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 like I guess the sector, the genre, like it's a crazy genre. Like you literally can't stop. And I have been watching reality TV. I mean, I've been watching reality TV since I was like 12. Like I don't know. I've been watching it for a really long time, and I grew up on like shows like Forbidden, well, Made in Chelsea, which I still talk about, right? And Geordie Shore. Initially, I started out with Geordie Shore, and even Geordie Shore, like I can come to some, to some place to be like Geordie Shore is a very weird show to engage in. Like, you know what I mean? Like, honestly, to even sit down and watch. Like, I don't. For me, the premise, the premise of Geordie Shore, well, actually, like, yeah, it's just a bunch of people who live in Newcastle, and like drink a lot and like also engage in like a lot of sex, and also they do a lot of crazy stuff as well, like we on the floor. But this is the thing, like I don't know, like the show, okay, this is the thing. I will say though, because this is the crazy thing, my whole argument with this whole thing is that lots of shows, right, they all have elements, right? And you always know what the element is. Like I feel like with Celebrity X on the Beach, right, the element is that there's exes involved. If there was no exes involved, it would basically just be another Love Island. And I feel like that's why they made it in this way. Do you know what I mean? They don't want to be another Love Island. And even take something like Too Hot to Handle. Too Hot to Handle is also a copycat of Love Island as well. But then again, because it has its element, it's not the same show. Do you know what I mean? Because obviously to handle, there's money on the line, and also so there's money on the line, which is the big thing, right? But then it's also like, okay, there's risk, as well. As I said about the money, there's risk, and it's also like, oh, like to do this actually costs money. Yeah, so that there's actually cost, and that's the thing, like that's the element of the show and what makes it interesting. I don't feel like, as I said, if there wasn't that you wouldn't watch. And then this is the thing with Love Island, right? Because Love Island has its element too, but I do think the racism thing is the biggest thing that really, I guess, pulls you away from wanting to like enjoy it. I mean, so I just mean that like most shows are a painting, and they do have to sometimes be a perfect painting. That's just in my head, to be honest. They have to have everything in them, and I do think that sometimes then with the racism thing, it's a bigger like cloud over it. I mean, if it wasn't so big, I don't really feel like, that's what I'm saying, there probably wouldn't be um any issue or any reason for me to like not tune in. So there we go. But like um it's like, honestly, I just will say like Too Hot to Handle has that element. Sort of Served X on the Beach, Made in Chelsea, Made in Chelsea, yes, it also again has an element, but the element is just like rich people sometimes engaging in like drama, and like they come up with different storylines. But even then with Made in Chelsea, because I've spoken about that on here too, where like Made in Chelsea, excuse me, their storylines get like, they get tedious, I feel, anyways. And I do feel like I just think even when it comes to programs in general, because I haven't watched EastEnders, I feel like, for years, or the only time I really watch EastEnders is at Christmas. So I do feel like, shows just like to go on and on forever, and then they have a way of, I don't know, they have a way of like latching onto you. So I do feel like there's that. And I think I tried to explain that even when I even first started talking about Made in Chelsea. I tried to explain that too, because I generally don't think Made in Chelsea's like where it's at now, I don't think it's that great, and I came to terms with that, and I've accepted that too. That like, the show was better in the very beginning, and right, and it had such like pivotal scenes, like especially I guess when like Sam and Zara had their breakup on the show, or even Louise throwing her drink at Spencer, or I don't know, like there's so many different scenes that could come to mind right now. But um if we go back to Love Island anyways, yes, I feel like Love Island, like we know what Love Island element is, but I feel like Love Island has lost its element. Like its feel anyways. It is generally like gone. It might have been there before. Like even when like I feel like when Anna was on there and probably Amber, um, for me, I would still say that Love Island was relatively good then because I mean Ovi was in that season, and as I said, so was Amber, and I forget who else was in that season, but that was not like a bad season, right? And I don't know. And even when I go say about 70X on the beach as well, I'm telling you that that show is a copycat, as I said, but because of the X thing, it just adds to it. Because even when I was watching X on the Beach the other day, like they were doing like a talent show, and then that reminded me of um Love Island, and I was like, oh, like this is something that Love Island does, and I found that really interesting because I was like, oh, why do all of these shows have like semi have the same kind of rule book in a way, or even guidebook. I mean, the thing that they literally follow back to back, and it's like you see it though that like it does happen, and it pretty much is the same. It's just like but as I said, I think for me, I've just always found the concept of exes showing up in the villa to be like really interesting. Like I mean, that's what I'm saying, like as a show, that's why um it's good. Also, no, I was gonna say shout out to Subjects on the Beach, and I feel like if you're not watching it, you should be because Jedward are in that show. Like I mean, well, actually, only John right now, but still, that is that much. Like that makes it that much more exciting. So there we go. Like, I know this makes it sound like okay, I'm saying ditch Love Island, watch Seven Sex on the Beach. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just, I'm just saying to you guys that. Like basically right now I'm at the elements part, right? But I'm just saying to you, you have to really think to yourself, what is the element and like what am I here for? And although we all like to engage in brain rot, like I said, because how the guy used the term brain rot, and we do love it, and it's good because it distracts us from reality, and that's great. You generally need that. But I feel like, there's different types of brain rot. Also, for me, I sometimes think animation is also somewhat brain rot sometimes because it does vary anyways, because you'll have your more mature animation and you'll have your really like silly whimsy animation, but you should like, that's what I'm saying, you should be doing that kind of brain rot instead of the other one where it's like you don't really know why you're watching this in a way. And for me, like when I was watching Love Island, or when I was losing interest, let's even start let me even let me even dive into that. I mean, when I was starting to lose interest, I realized I was using it as background music. And I think when you watch a show and you're using it for background music, I do think it's a huge sign that you've lost interest. Like, it's the biggest sign there is, because there's no way that, the show is playing and like you're not really listening. It's like those TikToks where people will say, oh, I've decided to put this show on while I clean. But it's like, you can see, because those are those funny skits, right? And it's like the person is generally watching the show and not cleaning. So it's like, that's the whole thing. And I feel like background music amounts to that too. Like if you're using something for background music and you're not even like being distracted, that just goes to say how much that you don't enjoy it and you could do without it. Like you actually do without the show. Because, and I think I was even treating, yeah, as of late, I thought I was treating The Office of background music, but not really, because I mean, The Office is generally funny. So it's like, it's not even like, okay, I know that, yes, I can probably scroll while watching The Office, but I also don't have to at the same time. Like, literally, I think I also do feel this way about Made in Chelsea, which this is what I mean. I was I talked to you guys about Made in Chelsea on here, but the fact of the matter is I do struggle with watching it. And I think the only times I really ever do enjoy watching it is watching it with someone else too. And so it's a crazy thing. And then I do very much enjoy speaking about it on here. And I guess that's the only element. I think for me, talking about it on here makes me feel like I haven't lost any time, because that's what I'm saying. I'm like, okay, the show is not good, but if I talk to everyone else and and I tell them my thoughts, I think it will make me feel better, because of course I will be able to speak about it in depth for a long amount of time, and I can really say, I guess, how much I hated it or like did not hate it. Do you know what I mean? Or well, actually both. Actually both. Like as in hated it or not hated it, or bits that I didn't like, and like yeah. But even this brings you on to another point of like, I guess, even going back to Geordie Shore, right? Because Geordie Shore, as I said to you guys, it was one of my OG reality TV shows, right? And the fact of the matter is I feel like although Geordie Shore has all that chaos, at the end of the day, like it also has such very much heartfelt moments, and they're all a family. Like this doesn't matter is they fight and they're very dysfunctional, but they they all love and care for one another. And I feel like the one pivotal scene to me in all of like Geordie Shore history, because Geordie Shore had, was it its 15-year anniversary or something like that the other day. But like, so the most pivotal scene to me on Geordie Shore is probably when Nathan came out to everyone, because I felt like it was such a powerful scene. And I meant because the group just didn't judge him, and I think it's because they were all like playing it off like we already knew. And I was like, I feel like those are the best kinds of coming out anyways, because it's like when everyone's a bit like, okay, it's not a huge deal, like you don't have to be upset, we still accept you and we love you. And I thought that was really great. I think also when I was seeing clips the other day, I also really much enjoyed when they did a funeral for their fish. Like that was so hilarious. Like I'm telling you, TV was just so gold then, and you wouldn't see anything like that on Love Island. All you'll get now on Love Island is, okay, there's this big dramatic scene of someone getting a pie to the face, and like, and then they'll have the conversation of like, oh yeah, why did you pie me afterwards, and like that was really rude, and like you probably shouldn't have done that. And then it's a bit like, oh okay. And then as I said, as far as like heartfelt or emotion goes, some girl or any of them will break into tears, everyone will come and like comfort her and stuff like that. But it all just gets a bit like, as I said, as I used the term tedious before, but it gets a bit like, again, tedious and silly, because it's a bit like you guys are just like over using it. And then I just feel like with a line sometimes when they cry on there, it feels really wrong, because it's generally like, oh, this isn't fair. I feel like you shouldn't really do it. And it also, as I said, like sometimes to me when you watch Love Island, it feels disingenuous as well. So this is the whole thing. I feel like reality TV, you don't want to feel like reality TV is fake. Like real shit. Like I'm telling you, I feel like that's the thing, and we've probably lost that as an art. Like the fact of the matter is that you can read through the lines, and that's very annoying. Like I don't want to be able to read through the lines, and I want to be able to tell that this moment is real. So that's why I said about the Nathan scene, that was a real moment, and you actually know that and you can feel it. Like you can actually feel it in your heart, I'm saying. But like all these other like scenes, it's like you can literally tell it's like boosted up, and it's been like added with all these different ingredients, and it's a bit like, no, because please don't spoon feed it to me. That's the thing, like that's what they do. And then I've heard them, these are when they come out of Love Island, and they'll say that, what was it, I guess that they get like whisperings in their ear or whatever, and they get all this sorts of stuff. And it's like, well, why are they doing that? Like I just feel like reality TV shows, like again, like it should all just play out. Do you know what I mean? I mean, it sometimes surprises me somewhat that it feels like that reality TVs have a script, and I'm like, that's not really how they should be, because it's not a movie, okay? I mean, like it's literally a show, and then if, as far as like putting it into a box, it's basically a skit. Like I mean, it's not, as I said, it's not a movie. Like movies are such big big ones to put it in. I'm saying that, yeah, shows could never be put into the same box as a movie because they're just too important. And obviously movies are very cinematic. And as I said, like I feel like shows try to do that sometimes. They try to add the cinematic atmosphere. And obviously, when I say shows, obviously I'm just obviously still speaking about reality TV in specific, but that's what I'm saying. They'll try to add the cinematic. Even I guess Love Island's probably the best thing that they do on the show. So, do you know what I mean? I'll give them their flowers. Probably the best thing that they do is I think, yeah, so obviously I was on the subject of cinema. So when they do that and they make everyone sit down and watch the stuff that everyone has said, or specifically I think they usually make them sit down and watch people at Casa Amor. Like that's probably one of the best things that Love Island has going for it. Do you know what I mean? And everyone always talks about that. I guess no. Two things that you talk about, I guess, when it comes to Love Island, yes, is Casa Amor and obviously like movie night. That's the main two things. But you don't talk about any of the stuff that's in between because as I said, no one's really interested about what do you call it? Yeah, about like the pie games or any of the like other games in between. Like they're all just a bit like yeah, they're all a bit stale. Like even when it comes if we talk about games like in reality TV shows, honestly, I obviously talked to you guys about Singles Inferno and how they had great games in that show. Like it was actually crazy. And for me, I say they had great shows because it was literally them testing their actual will and and like stamina and strength, like all this stuff. They were making them pinpoint on those, not just like silly stuff of being like, I don't even know, like when Love Island makes them do those little question ones or whatever, and that's just like boring. But as I said, I found the Singles Infernos game so interesting because they were so exciting. Like obviously they were doing yeah, they were doing tug of war, and then they also had to like I forget. They also had to go and get like ingredients for like dinner, I guess, and stuff like that. So they were doing that. It kind of gave the same element as like maybe um what's it called again? Like the like I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here almost, but of course not in the same way. But still, just the fact that you're making these people, I guess, test their limits. You know what I mean? Like honestly, that's what I'm saying. Singles and fellas, I'm saying they had to really put their will into everything to actually like eat to eat and survive. And I'm like, that's really just interesting. I'm actually just like, oh, I'm not really interested in the little other games where it's like, oh yeah, who can kiss the best? Like, what is that? Like, I don't. I think, and another thing is because if we're talking about singles and funnels and Love Island mainly, then we're saying like because again those two shows. So if we're comparing those right now, right, those two shows they're also quite similar, anyways, because it's right. So there's still a group of people all in a villa, right? So it's still the same concept. And I feel like obviously, as I said, what sets Singles Infernos apart is well, fact of the matter is, as I said, it's the games. Probably also I guess how the romance moves in the show. And when I say how it moves, this is what I mean. I meant like I feel like Love Island's romance moves quite quickly, of course, but as I said, I think with Singles Inferno, theirs is a bit slower, and also it doesn't as well like feel so what's the word, like I was gonna say like so so I'm finding it so like lustful, maybe. I don't know, but I don't know if lustful's a word. But like, when you watch Love Island, it's just because it just feels like it's oozed with lust. Like you'll see them, I mean, like they're always in the same get ups, always in bikinis and like shirts off, and I guess because it's summer, which is right, that's fine. But then again, we're like, oh, that's literally the only thing. They all just look like that all the time. And it's like, and of course they're just always like snogging face, and sometimes they kiss just to kiss as well. Like, it's like they'll go up on the rooftop and it will be like they have no reason to do it, but they're doing it like just to do it. And it's a bit like no one wants to see that. I think like when it comes to like Love Island USA, and it's like you can see that, like, okay, so yeah, I'm talking about Nicolandra again, right? Yeah. So when you see how like Nick looks at Alandra, and it's like he looks at her like he wants her. Do you know what I mean? Not even just like, as I said, not like how with Love Island UK, where it's like where it's just like, yeah, it's just served up and it just looks weird, and it's like, no, I don't actually want to touch that at all. Do you know what I mean? It just looks like that. But of course, when I was watching Singles Inferno, I literally felt like the yearning. I felt all of that, like on the screen, and of course, that's probably why I guess was drawn to the show so much. So this is the whole thing. I feel like in my argument or even analysis, it's basically like it's like yes, watch dating shows, but don't watch the ones that, like, do you know what I mean? The ones that make you want to look like they want to make you look stupid. Like they do. They really want to uh put a blindfold over your eyes, and they want to just tell you that it's real even though it's fake. Like that's what they want to do. And I feel like, again, when it comes to Singles Inferno, like they'll have you, like, you'll watch Singles Inferno and you'll still think about the couples even after it's finished. And not even because I said to you guys about how Love Island has its history of, I guess, as I say, people not like working out. So you don't really think that it has a great track record when it comes to relationships. But I'm saying, when you look at Singles Inferno, you'll be like, oh my gosh, these two people on the show, they didn't really like they didn't really connect or really get the chance to, or they did a little bit, and you'll still be thinking about them like weeks or months after the show. And you guys may be thinking, get a life, but like, this is the thing, you'll hold on to it. And I think this is also the thing, you want to have be optimistic, amen, and hopeful about romance. And then this is the thing, because I feel like some of these shows, they don't highlight that. So it's almost like, why am I watching like that? Like I could generally just go on, like, I don't even know, like go on a dating app, I mean, and I'd be able to know that, like, yeah, it's bad. But I don't want you to tell me that. Like I don't want you to tell me something that I already know. I want you to show me a different side. So it's like they don't show you that, though. They really don't. They literally just show you that like everything's bad, and like you will be lonely. And then also you will be lonely, and like maybe perchance, like I even said about like Will before, like he'll hate you like on the show, but like he'll love you afterwards. or love you like maybe behind closed doors, and like that is like, that's not good. Like that's not good at all. You want to be able to know that a person will love you, like, I guess, yeah, both times. Like inside, exactly, inside and out. Not like not just in. It's just, that's weird. But yeah, all in all, to say, like, actually, now that we've gone through the points, literally, it's like, all in all, to say, like, Love Island won't be seeing me until they do it. Like until they do it. Like I remember when I spoke about it, right, the first time, and obviously, yeah, I was defending one of the girls on there, so that's probably why. I just remembered also. That's what I was doing. I was talking about, I was defending one of the girls, and I think probably it was Alima. Because yes, it was Alima. The whole fact of the matter is, I think in that video I was talking about how I was talking about how like Alima was so, like, do you know what I mean? She was so like baddie, and I was like, why is it that people are like treating her wrong in here and everything like that? And that was very much rubbing me the wrong way. And like I feel like this is the thing, like Love Island will generally rage bait you, and it's like, I don't exactly, you're like yourself, I don't pay TV license to get rage baited. I'm not watching this. So I feel like, yeah, when they do that, when that happens, I might be there, but for now, I'm not there. Like, I just feel like I need to see someone be treated I mean, yeah, see a black woman on there be treated correctly, and I need to see um yeah, I need to see the guy like actually. I mean, it's crazy. I know. I would actually have to be so convinced because talking about this, it's like, bro, like we actually don't have anything. But it's like, and I meant again, I mean, as in I don't have a case study as where I can be like, oh yeah, like this person they treated that black co-star on Love Island so well. I don't like see that anywhere. Like even though like Dami and India were together as well, I again I still don't really feel like I don't feel like in the show that I really, as I said, get the gist for them. Not really. So it's like I do think that if I was to tune in, right, and then also if I did see maybe a scene of something where it was like, yeah, there was somebody like I guess right trying to speak to one of the black women on the show, like I would generally have to see that that guy was kissing her feet, and like not even like when the guys do the coffee thing in that show, but like doing way more than that. Like I don't know, but just a lot more, and I don't even know what the actions can be, because this is the thing when it comes to Love Island as well, the grand gestures, they're actually so like, okay, he gets you a coffee in the morning, okay, you can make that coffee yourself, and then they take the next step, which is, oh yeah, now he's made you breakfast and you're all having breakfast together with like, oh, another couple, and it's like, still no. And then I feel like, okay, then the last grand gesture is to get the rooftop kiss or whatever, to go on the terrace thing, and I'm like, still no. So this is what I mean, the grand gestures are all quite boring. So if I even say again, so I keep using Singles Inferno, right, just because maybe it's the one that I watched that I was most interested in, okay? So when I say grand gestures on Singles Inferno, right, you'll see them, I don't know, like the guys are coming to speak to the woman like I guess maybe three times in right, three times in one day. Like this is what I'm saying. You can tell that they actually desperately want it, and it's like you just can't really tell on the show, because sometimes the guys on that show will be like, oh yeah, I really like whomever, right, and then you generally won't see him talking to her like the whole entire day, and it's like that doesn't even make any sense. Like it doesn't remotely make sense, because if you really liked her, then you'd be speaking to her generally, like you'd be speaking to her right now. You wouldn't even be saying, oh yeah, I should speak to her now. Do you get what I mean? Like it just sounds weird. Like don't say it, do it. Like this is the thing, they don't really act on their desires, and it's just a bit annoying. Like, and then even if I go back to the grand gestures thing, like Singles Inferno, I'm like, you don't really see them do all that like coffee breakfast stuff. They don't really do any of that. But as I said, I do feel like the talking thing is their grand gesture, and also oh yes, and also the voting, like how they do the voting thing, and how obviously they'll do the votes for who they want to go on a date with. So obviously again, that's still putting in effort. Do you know what I mean? In some way, shape, or form, that is still putting in effort, because your vote goes to who you obviously desperately want to go on a date with. So again, that's still something. Like I'm telling you, it's just something else. But as I said, like I don't know what to say about it, because in being like, oh, it's so sad I'm not watching the show, but I don't feel that way at all. Like as in I don't feel any regret about it. I meant, the only regret that I did have was the fact that Euphoria season 3 finished and I didn't watch it. But like my regret is just because it was a show that I really loved, and then I just felt like Sam ruined it, and that annoyed me. But I feel like I should still stand firm, do you know what I mean, on my belief that he ruined the show, and that it doesn't completely mean that I don't like Euphoria, because I do. Like Euphoria season 1 and 2, those I said that's my bag. I love that show. Do you know what I mean? So really, so literally, you'd be like, I love Euphoria, but season 1 and 2, yeah. I probably should even do a post like that, but I meant literally, I said, please don't speak to me about season 3. Please don't speak to me about season 3. I don't know anything about that. So literally, that's honestly what I would tell people. And I guess, yeah, I would say that. Then again, I mean, if people talk to me about Love Island, like, I don't know anything about these last 2 seasons of Love Island. I do know about, the older previous seasons of Love Island, and I was there. Do you know what I mean? I was there when Tyreek was in there. I was there when Whitney was in there. And even in that Ore video, so I feel like you should definitely watch that. But even in that video, I didn't remember that Whitney was also with that other guy. Like, she was with that like foreign guy before, and I didn't really remember that. But like, he was horrible to her as well. Do you know what I mean? So, and I didn't remember that she was ever like with that guy. But it's so random. That's what I mean. I feel like this is the thing. Like, when you look at it, like, and when you think about Whitney being with that guy, I feel like the black women also like beg for scraps because they can't get anyone else. So I feel like that's a bit sad. I always feel sorry for people like that anyways, I meant in these dating shows in general, because literally they'll be waiting for someone to like show an interest in them or look their way, and then they'll just take whatever's there, and you're a bit like, that's not nice. I meant, like, as in, it's not nice that you've been alone, but it's also not nice that you're gonna do it to that other person that you're not really interested in. Like, that's not fair on them, because they could be getting to know someone else who generally is interested in them, but like, you're not. I just mean, all in all, like, I feel like these shows, they need a makeover. They need to go to what was it, Snog, Marry, and Avoid? Yeah. They need to go there. I love that show, but that's where they need to go, and the show just needs a complete, like, it needs a reset button. But anyway, thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you in the next one.